Now that Halloween's over, the only scare you got to worry about is how scared you better be if you miss the 10-8 round podcast. What up, Internet? Your boys are back. As always, I am Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, feeling a red October, living in the moment, shitting razor blades constantly. I am joined by the one, the only, the incomparable John Boy in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida. John Boy, how we doing?
Doing good, man. We got a big game tonight. Big game tonight.
This is rough. So we got first of all, for the listeners at home, if I blink twice, I need you to call Gamblers Anonymous because John Boy just got me to download FanDuel. And I don't know, maybe you guys at home can tell me if plus 1,300 odds on my parlay sound a little bit reckless, but we put a little money down on the Philly sports tonight because I love the boys and I believe in the boys. But we got Phillies World Series. The birds are knock wood have stayed undefeated.
Phillies could be
We got
Sixers could be better, right?
Sixers could be better. They're leaving something to be desired. Harden's out for a month with a foot injury, but look, I think they're going to pick it up and bring it around town. I mean, the Flyers have showed some early promise. I'm a bit of a hockey guy, so I like to monitor that one. And then, kind of from the grave here, though, we got the Philadelphia Union in the MLS World Championship.
Ooh, okay.
And I remember the Union's inaugural season because they were giving out tickets for like $250 to go down to PPL Park in Chester, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're still probably right around that price, but
They're like up to like $750 now.
wow.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, the Union has never like it hasn't caught on, I think, the way some people have hoped it would in Philly.
Yeah.
Uh Philly's a big soccer city in a lot of ways. But I think the people who did catch on with the Union
Mhm.
are so fucking rabidly pro-union
Yeah.
that it almost kind of balances out. Like they have like a legitimate football club called the Sons of Ben. They are animals for the Union. They travel with the team. They live by the team.
Yeah,
Like these
that's
are
that's what you need. You need some diehards to get your back,
need that.
and
And
then
look, I'm not gonna hate on soccer, right? That's a fun sport. That's a cool sport. I dig it. I lived in London. I'm all about the footy. So, fucking go Union. Bring it home, boys. Bring glory to Philadelphia because I'm with it.
there you go.
What else can I say? What else can I say? I'll be up late watching the World Series, so I better get a
I,
little kill.
I know one thing that we can say, who is also a fellow Philly fan. The boy Remtron X, I don't know if you guys have seen it, hooked up a video with John Anik, which was absolutely fucking phenomenal. It absolutely fired the boys up. And we just want to give a shout out to Rem for that fucking type of support. We love that shit. And thank you, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah, Rem Dog, number one, first and foremost. That's a legit guy for life right there. That tag is a legit guy tag for life. Um, Remy's been Remy's been rocking with us since day one. Just
Yes.
an absolute the original patient at the 10-8 asylum. Just loves the content, loves the jam, loves what the boys are putting out. Um, if you guys haven't seen it, hooked us up with a shout out from John Anik, who, by the way, brought the heat for a shout out, like really
Dude,
got into it.
who doesn't like John Anik? I've never heard one person be like, I don't fuck with John Anik.
Dude, John Anik is the boy. So,
Yeah.
and the shout out was legit. Remy's the
Great.
man for that. And if you haven't
Fireworks.
seen it, the video itself is it's really awesome, and it meant a ton to John Boy and I. So Remy, for forever, that legit guy tag belongs to you. Yeah, love it. Just love
Yeah.
it. What else can I say?
I believe you can check that video out on the 10-8 pod, right? Do we make a post of it? If we didn't, it needs to be made. You
It's
can
on
check the
Instagram.
you can check the video out, the
Uh,
10-8 podcast on Instagram.
yeah,
Really, really cool video. Definitely worth a watch for sure.
yeah. Can't get enough. Can't. I've watched that video like 100 fucking times. It's ridiculous. I love that video. It just gets
It's
me
pre
like
it's
it
it's pre-workout. It's pre-workout. I saw my morning
really is.
video,
It's a
so.
pure adrenaline dump. I got to run around the block every time I watch it. It's ridiculous. You want to? We had a fight card last weekend.
Yep.
we got some other stuff kind of floating around the MMA universe. You want to just get into our takeaways here?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into our takeaways. I don't know. I don't think all of them are going to pertain to the fight night that we had last week, but we'll get spicy right off the bat.
Hit me. What do you
Sound
got?
good?
Numero uno. Get through it.
Numero uno, the next bantamweight UFC champion of the world will be Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Well, and that's going to do it for us here at the 10-8 round podcast. We had a good run, but we're going to cancel the pod and never do another episode again.
Yep. It was fun.
God.
It was fun.
It was a fun run, but John has clearly crossed the threshold into needing psychiatric medication. Health comes first, so we're going to get John. Oh, John, let me hear it. We'll show your work for this one. Let me hear it.
I just think that the UFC is going to concoct a way to make all the variables line up in favor of Sean O'Malley. I think they're going to find a way to get the cash cow into the ultimate driver's seat position. I don't really love some of the guys. You know, I think that he could potentially be an issue for the Sterlings of the world, and Henry Cejudo. Like, give me a fucking break. I know you're going to have something to say about that, probably.
Oh, mercy me.
If you want to tell the people what you're thinking. I just think the matchups are there. I think it's in the UFC's best interest to do this. I think O'Malley's a legit guy. He showed that in his last outing. And I think he's going to put a little bit of sugar and spice, and a little bit of magic is going to happen. And I can see it right now, that belt being wrapped around that absolutely just tatted up, whatever you want to call it. Sugar Sean O'Malley, next 135-pound champ.
All right, well, I'll do my first takeaway of the week. My first takeaway of the week is that Triple C, the king of cringe, Henry Cejudo, would absolutely run through this fucking division right now like a hot knife through butter.
He looks kind of fat.
He's a wrestler. That's gone in 5 days. That's gone in 5 days. And I see no threat to Triple C at 135 at the top of the mountain, especially not now that Sugar Sean O'Malley has lucked his way to the top of the mountain. There's no universe where I see Sean O'Malley beating Henry Cejudo. I don't see Aljo beating Henry Cejudo. I really don't. I don't see Petr Yan beating Henry Cejudo. I think Henry Cejudo would run through this division like fucking with bad intentions.
Old Henry Cejudo, sure, but right, like anytime a guy throws in a towel like that, it's a little bit concerning, especially in a sport like MMA. We've seen him get chinned before too. We saw Demetrius Johnson chin him. I don't know if the chin's there. I don't know if the motivation is there. I don't know if he needs a paycheck. There's just too many variables that you just really can't account for. And a guy like O'Malley right now, the eye is on the prize, right? All roads lead to gold, right? The fire is cooking. His mind is on the fucking goal, and we know that right now. So with that being said, I just think the trajectory and the rise in his career, I don't know. I might take that bet if you want to do a who will be champ first, O'Malley or Cejudo. That might be a fun little 10-8 wager.
I'm gonna say my only problem with that bet is, and you've said it and I've said it and we both agreed on it. It is always a dangerous business betting against the UFC cash cow, right? That's the only thing. If Sean O'Malley was just a regular dude climbing up the rankings, I would in a piss-soaked New York minute, I would take that bet.
Yeah.
But because he's the cash cow, you know what though? You've only got to egg me on 2 or 3 more times before I take it. So yeah. I'm sure that bet's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you're right, and I agree with you. You are right. The UFC, I think, has a vested interest in putting gold on Sugar Sean O'Malley's waist. That being said, I think that Aljo is gonna backpack him. I think that Cejudo would ragdoll him, and I think Petr Yan beat him. I think Petr Yan beat him fair and square.
I do too. I mean, I just think Petr Yan's the best 135-pounder on the planet too. So
I think somebody is going to play spoiler to the UFC's tea party on this one. I really do, and I don't think it matters who. You know, I mean, quite frankly, at this point, Have a number one contender fight and give Triple C a warm up fight against Sugar Sean and have the winner fight for the strap. Why not? Right?
I know. It's just like, are you going to derail the money cart before it cashes in? It's one of those things, right? There might be too much risk. There might be too much risk in that.
I've mentioned it on the show before. I'm going to mention it again. Henry Cejudo, absolutely. And this is a man whose promos were the worst fucking promos I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Absolutely sunned Sean O'Malley during Sean O'Malley's own interview. Chumped him. He don't want that smoke. He don't want it. I'm telling you right now. Don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying based off of that interaction, but I mean, I don't think we can be playing that right now.
I saw the fear in that man's eyes. I'm telling you right now, he don't want it.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What else can we say?
Takeaway two.
Hit it.
Let's get into it. I mean, first off, I want to say absolute shame what happened to Calvin Kattar, right? Blowing out his knee. You never want to see that. You want to see a guy go a full 5 rounds in a scheduled main event like that. He was losing the first round, but he's known to be a guy with tremendous pace who can push things for a very long time. I said it before in the last pod, Arnold Allen had never won 5 rounds previous to that. So it would have been nice to see him be tested in those type of waters. But the fight to make is Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett. That's the fight to make at 145 pounds. I honestly think it's a title eliminator fight. And the winner of that fight is the rightful guy to fight Volkanovski next.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was a total shame. I mean, we're both Calvin Kattar fans. Just because that's a dude who's always going to fight for your money, you know, whether fight night, pay-per-view, parking lot of an Outback, it doesn't matter. Calvin Kattar is going to fucking throw down. And you're right. I mean, he was losing the first round. Arnold Allen looked good, but Calvin Kattar is a live dog for rounds 1 through 5. He will fight you until a referee tells him the fight is over.
Yeah.
So who knew what was going to happen? And the other thing is, and hats off to Calvin Kattar, that happened at the end of the first, that he blew his knee out. And they tried to stop the fight, and he was like, no, I'm good. And the ref was like, yo, I'm giving you one shot on this knee. So Calvin Kattar ran out and threw like a jumping kick. Now, granted, when he came down on it, it went immediately out, and everyone was like, yep, that knee's gone. But that was his response, was you've got one shot to show your knee's not blown out. And Calvin was like, let me launch into orbit here and see if I get lucky and hit a chin. Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys that we went in and we know there's no quitting that dog. And that's kind of why we backed him. But it's a cruel game and shit happens like that. And it's just a variable you got to fucking factor in when you're betting and you're picking MMA fights, man. Shit happens. And that's a prime example.
Yeah, it's the way it is. But I agree with you. I think Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen's the fight to make. Think it'll be a good fight. And that's kind of that. I think Arnold Allen wins that fight. That might be a too early prediction, but I think Arnold Allen wins that fight.
I'd like to see the odds before, but based on like volume, just accumulation, maybe. I don't know, man. Emmett's just one of those guys, though. All it takes is one punch, right? He's probably the only guy at 145 pounds that has like true one punch knockout power. A lot of the guys are just volume accumulated strikers, right? Holloway, Volkanovski. They're not deading guys with one shot. They're just they're out, they're out match-upping you. They're just better fighters. They're out dueling you over the course of minutes. Emmett, he could lose 2 rounds, and you saw it with Michael Johnson, just deads him in the 3rd round. So he's the type of guy you got to mind your P's and Q's, but I'd watch that one. And
I'll watch that.
It's definitely the fight to make too.
I agree. All right, let me get my second takeaway here. Sure. I think in spite of his win last Saturday, I think we've seen the end of Tresean Gore in the UFC. And I don't know if he has, I'll put a disclaimer on this. I don't know if he has like another fight on his contract. I haven't looked that deeply into it, but let me put it this way. He's not, I don't think, getting re-signed. I don't think going anywhere in the UFC, at least not right now, not without some kind of psychic change. So Tresean Gore, I think, is done. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. It was
a pretty nasty sub.
I mean, here's the thing. So it looked like what we've seen from Tresean Gore, which was a really strong 2 minutes to open. Then it looked like he was fading. It looked like that fade was continuing into the second. And then honestly, it looked like he saw a neck and was long enough and strong enough to just grab it and hold it until he choked out his opponent. It was a very much like a barroom submission. It wasn't like he had put together, I keep seeing people put like nasty sub as the tagline sharing that video. Like, I mean, it was nasty that somebody got choked out, but from like a pure fundamentals, like it didn't look like he had executed a plan that revolved around jujitsu and gotten a guillotine. It looked like he just had long arms and grabbed a motherfucker's neck and just refused to let go with the last bit of energy that he had.
Yeah, it was more of Frem just kind of serving his neck on a silver platter. At that type of level of competition, mistakes are bound to be made. But I memean, coming off of a dub, I don't know. I'm not dying to see Tresean Gore fight in the UFC. So
I think honestly, I mean, I think had he missed on that, had he grabbed the neck the way he did and not been able to finish that submission, I think his arms would have been toast, and I think he would have been in big shit for the rest of the fight. He already looked like he was fading, and he put every ounce of energy into cranking the hell out of that weird reverse Stone Cold Stunner-esque guillotine that he had in. Yeah, I don't.
I think it's safe to say he's not what the Ultimate Fighter tried to make him out to be. And we kind of know that now. And it's kind of like, okay, been there, done that. We've seen enough, and time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. What's your third takeaway for the week?
My third takeaway, I touched on it a little bit in the last pod. Chase Hooper, the UFC should just cut him. He's an absolute liability on the feet. He has one path to victory. And I mean, it's one thing when you have a path to victory by just wrestling and subbing guys, but when you're that big of a liability standing up and striking, it's concerning just for your well-being. When he can't take the fight to the ground, he looks like somebody who, I don't know, has never hit a punching bag before. It just looks the skill gap is so large that it's actually jarring to watch. He got dropped by Steve Garcia very, very early, and he was like a minus 300 favorite going into the fight. And I was just kind of like, whoa, that doesn't make any sense. And for the reasons that we saw last week, we've seen enough. Let him go to CFFC, let him go to not even Bellator, let him go a little bit lower down the ranks, try and maybe work out the defensive boxing. And I've seen enough though at this level. Let's save the guy's brain. Let him try and work up and develop the necessary skills to fight in the UFC.
Yeah, I thought you had a different takeaway for your third, so that's also my third takeaway for the week is that Chase Hooper's, I think, also done in the UFC.
Yeah.
And it's I think we have a decent basis for comparison here. If you were to look at Chase Hooper and compare him to Paul Craig, Paul Craig is a jiu-jitsu guy through and through. He pulls guard in an MMA fight and goes for your legs, goes for triangles. But, Paul Craig also went the distance with, Ozdemir, right? I mean, he was able to at least survive the fight. Chase Hooper is getting starched out here if he doesn't get his jiu-jitsu going. Yeah. I mean, maybe this is a kid who, look, I mean, Flow Grappling's investing a lot of money in professional grappling right now. ADCC just had a huge turnout. Dude, maybe it's professional grappling that you should be looking into, if you can't get it together on the feet like that. Because I think you're right. I mean, just, one of these times you're going to get tagged like that. And, you don't know what the future holds. You don't know what the brain's going to do in 5 years from getting tagged like that. But it usually doesn't do anything good.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think either figure out your boxing fast or do something else combat sports related, because this ain't it.
No, agreed. I mean, I couldn't agree more. Let him go the grappling route. You're right. I don't need to see him really strike anymore. He's one of those guys where you could just walk him down. He's not going to hurt you with anything he throws, right? They're all like they're feeler punches where he's just kind of like letting it, he's just throwing it out there. There's no intention really behind it. Grappling makes a ton of sense for him, man. He's really good. He's super efficient in that area. Let him go that road. We don't need to see the guy take another beating from a legitimate guy, because I don't even know if Steve Garcia is a legit guy.
Right, exactly. Look, I mean, professional grappling's having its moment right now. I'm sure it could use a few more personalities that aren't named Gordon Ryan to kind of spice things up and let people watch some more interesting personalities. Chase Hooper's kind of funny,
Yeah, I like him. I like the guy. I do.
Yeah,
It's just it's just we've seen enough. I don't need to see him take a fucking another beating like that.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I don't know, John Boy, are there any fights on this weekend?
Yeah, the UFC fucking scraped one together for us this week, man. They put one together. They know that all their eggs are in the UFC 281 basket for the following week. We'll have a fucking hell of a pod coming next week.
Yeah.
But we got to do our due diligence here, and we're gonna run through this Rodriguez Lemos card. There were a lot of cancellations on this one, if I'm not mistaken, right? Bryce Mitchell was supposed to fight on this card.
Yes.
A lot of things fell through, and now
Yeah.
we're left with this.
If UFC 281 is taking the girl of your dreams to bed, and last week's fight night is the refractory period, after you've given her your best stuff, this card is jerking off alone in a porn theater. That's
Ooh,
that's how
wow.
we take this one. That's what this is, right? It's
Mm.
listen, you're
Did
technically gonna
not
get
did
there.
not fucking see that coming.
Yeah, but you're getting there in a really sad direction. And that's what I think this fucking card is, man. This is not
Accurate, but hey, who knows? Maybe you'll have a hell of a time rubbing one out in that theater. You never know.
it's hard to have a bad time, right? It's
Low,
hard to have a bad time.
it
Here we
never
are.
hurts to have low expectations and then come in and have some fucking, some absolute fire from the card. So
Let's be pleasantly surprised. Let's be pleasantly surprised. Let's
hell
do
yeah,
that. Let's main event. Marina Rodriguez, Amanda Lemos.
yeah.
Rodriguez is 16-1-2. Amanda Lemos 12-2-1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about it.
Let's start it off with who you think the favorite is in this one.
Um,
Get the betting line out of the way.
yeah. I think the favorite is going to be Amanda Lemos.
It is Marina Rodriguez.
Okay. All right.
She
Let's
is
talk about it.
minus 225.
Yeah.
Amanda Lemos plus 175. It's a 5-round bout, main event of the night. Probably a title eliminator bout at strawweight, just because there's really not a whole lot of depth there.
Yeah.
Okay, Lemos coming off of a first round sub loss to Jessica Andrade, where she was looking good. She was piecing her up early. But
that's not her last fight. Sure, her last fight is against the Karate Hottie, where she subbed her.
okay, she subs Karate Hottie, which is kind of an irrelevant win. But when she fought Andrade, that was for the title, right? That was a title eliminator fight. So she's kind of been in this spot before.
Yeah.
She looked good early on in that fight. And then just kind of the tail of the tape with her is if she can't get you out of there early, she has a massive fall off, right? She's got like a good round and a half maybe. And after that, it's just bad news. Marina Rodriguez, on the other hand, she can go all 5 rounds. Super technical kickboxer. Lemos is definitely going to have the power advantage here, and Rodriguez is definitely, the longer it goes, the better. I like Rodriguez here over the course of 5 rounds. I'm thinking maybe a live bet opportunity. Let Lemos win the first round, maybe the second round. You get to avoid kind of, if she can finish her, you can kind of get out of the danger. And then she can get, a 10-9 on the scorecard, and then you end up live betting Rodriguez. I think this is Rodriguez's fight to lose. And I think that she's going to start to pull away in the later half of the rounds. And I'm gonna side with Marina Rodriguez here.
Yeah, no, I think your analysis is pretty spot on. When you see in women's MMA somebody who's got a clear power advantage, I can tend to lean towards them. I think sometimes you can muscle out a win in the first. And Amanda Lemos, if she can grab a neck, if she can grab a sub, I think can maybe get it done in the first. But I think you're right. I think if she doesn't get it in the first, I mean, that's evidenced by her split decision win over Angela Hill, right? There was a pretty substantial fall off there. And I think that's what we're going to see happen here. So, yeah, if it gets out of the first, max bet Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. I couldn't agree more. That's definitely the way to play this one. I think she's the better fighter as well. I think she's a little bit more technical. She throws with intention too. It's a difference between her and Angela Hill. Marina Rodriguez is going to try and take your head off later.
Yes.
In the round. So maybe like a third, fourth round TKO if you're feeling spicy on a prop bet. You want a little bit of extra juice. I could see a third or fourth round TKO for sure.
Well, we have an interesting fight kind of on the heels of that. We got Neil Magny stepping in against Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I think D-Rod's the favorite here.
Neil Magny's the slight favorite.
Wow.
It's almost a pick 'em, right? Minus 125 Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez minus 105 coming off of an absolute fucking travesty. Li Jingliang, aforementioned fighter, definitely the 10-8 rounds #1 fighter. We love the Leech here, and he was robbed in a split decision. That was D-Rod's last fight.
Yeah.
Neil Magny's coming off of, I believe he is coming off of an L against, who is it? I know Shavkat Rakhmonov, which is not a bad person to take an L from. Third round sub. It's coming back to me. This is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. We know Neil Magny is going to try and grapple. That's kind of his way to win fights, and we know D-Rod's going to try and bang it out.
Yeah.
It's a matter of can the guy take it to where he wants to take it, right? Can Neil Magny grapple fuck Daniel Rodriguez? I don't know if I'm willing to get there. I think D-Rod's going to get the better of the exchanges on the feet. It could be a problem, but I don't think I'm going to put my my money on it. What are you thinking?
You know, I got to tell you, I like D-Rod here. I think he's a tough fighter. I think he's, a smart fighter too. I think he'll wear Magny down if Magny can't get it to the ground. D-Rod's never been submitted. I think there's something to be said for that, in a 19 fight career with 2 losses. His only 2 losses are decision losses. He's obviously going to keep it on the feet. I don't know. I like D-Rod here. I don't know that I can all the way explain why I like D-Rod here, but I like D-Rod here.
Yeah, no, I if I had a gun to my head with the odds, the way they're looking, I would probably take a stab on him, but I don't feel super confident in it just because Neil Magny's wrestled with kind of the top of the line guys and he finds ways to win fights. So that does scare me a little bit. So I'm going to lay off of this one and try to see if I can pick some meat off some of the bones later down the card.
Well, speaking of picking meat off the bones, big 10-8 guy, third fight on the card, the Vanilla Gorilla coming back again. What is this, his 12th fight this year? I thought this guy got cut from the UFC in February.
Mm-hmm.
Taking on the homie Josh Parisian.
He's a Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series heavyweight.
He is.
Who you guys the favorite in this one?
I've gone back and forth on the MMA math here. I think Josh Parisian's probably the favorite.
He's the dog.
You're shitting me. Chase Sherman is the favorite?
Yeah, Chase Sherman is a favorite in a UFC fight.
I love it.
Kind of alarming, but
I love it. Title run starts now.
Jesus Christ. See, yeah, this is Chase Sherman minus 135, Josh Parisian plus 105. We're talking bottom of the barrel UFC heavyweights here. Parisian's another guy who just doesn't have a huge, tremendous gas tank, right? He can throw his best stuff early on, and then he
Yeah.
tends to hit a wall and fade. I think Sherman's got the better cardio. He's going to be the smaller guy for sure. He should probably
Yeah.
be a light heavyweight if he got his fucking diet together.
We say that every time Chase Sherman fights on this show. We say he should be a light heavyweight.
Yeah, no, he should be. Parisian probably as well. When you see his physique, you'll be like, oh fuck. He's not in the best shape of his life. God, do I love betting on bottom of the barrel heavyweights. I don't know. Something inside me wants to bet Chase Sherman, but just at a favorite price tag, like my conscience and just for doing this as long as I've been doing it, something's just telling me you cannot bet Chase Sherman as a heavyweight ever, no matter who he's fighting. So for those reasons, I'm probably going to lay off this fight. Look for just sloppy heavyweight shit to occur. What do you?
Yeah, I don't, I'm so superstitious, man. I don't even want to say the thought out loud, but looking at the Jared Vanderaa fight, I think there's a blueprint for Chase Sherman to beat Parisian here if he can avoid the first round knockout, which he has not been successful in doing a lot in his time at heavyweight. But if he can, I think he can start to piece up Parisian. I don't think Parisian's anybody special. I think he can piece him up, and I think he can get him out of there eventually. But it's going to be, I hate to say it, but I mean, on the four fight losing streak, he lost two of them in the first via submission, not knockout, and then he lost two decisions. But it's going to be about getting out of the first round, I think, for the Vanilla Gorilla. But I am such an unironic, no explanation for it fan of the Vanilla Gorilla. I'm pulling for him. I think he gets it done in 3.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm pulling for him too a little bit, to be honest with you. I've seen Parisian quit a lot. Like I've just seen that guy quit in fights where he just blows his load and then it's just like, all right, I'm out of here. So yeah, I like that. I like a little Chase Sherman round 3 TKO. It's going to be a sloppy slugfest, man.
Big time. Big time.
Both of these guys shouldn't be in the UFC, but
yeah. Here's just a quick hypothetical question for you, because I don't honestly know how many more of these fights we really need to talk about, unless you've got a sweet parlay to put together, which if you do, I don't know about it. But if Chase Sherman dropped down to light heavyweight, right? If he got the diet together, he's hitting 205. You think he'd be any good? Do you think he'd be a UFC caliber light heavyweight?
No.
I don't know if he would. I want to say that I think he would. And in Chase Sherman's best moments, I think I've seen somebody who has the potential to be a good fighter, but the bad moments have just been so fucking bad that I don't know if that's just my blind fandom for this man taking logic out of the equation.
I just think the light heavyweight at the bottom of the division is much deeper than the heavyweight division of the UFC, right? I think the discrepancy in talent from the bottom barrel UFC heavyweights from the bottom barrel light heavyweights is a lot bigger. I think the fall off is bigger. I think it's a more competitive weight class at light heavyweight. You're not going to have the Josh Parisians of the world slipping through the cracks to get an easy fight to build off of. There's a lot of light heavyweights. It's a more competitive division. I don't know. If you're looking at kind of like a bottom barrel light heavyweight rankings, I don't think there's going to be guys as shitty as Josh Parisian hanging out there. I could be wrong.
I don't know. Jimmy Crute, Dustin Jacoby.
Oh my, oh my, holy fuck. You did not just compare Jimmy Crute to fucking Josh Parisian. Dustin Jacoby.
I'm literally just listing the bottom of the top 15.
Oh, he would die.
I literally just looked it up and I'm at the bottom of the top 15.
Yeah, he would die. Thank you for confirming that. Yeah, no, there's no way. I understand why he's fighting a heavyweight now.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's the top 15, right? How deep does light heavyweight go? how many light heavyweights do they have outside of 15?
I think they probably have like 30 on the roster, right? 30 per division.
I mean, according to this that I'm looking at here, and I'm pulling it up quick, they've got 35, I think.
Okay. And then those 5 of those guys are usually in limbo.
Yeah,
Probably 10, 15 are in limbo, but yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah. They've got guys that, I'm not even sure they're still actively fighting. They might just be hanging around here.
Yeah, just like extra fights left on their contract where they just like
Yeah.
can't get cut yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, we've definitely covered Chase Sherman more than needs to be covered.
By a lot, by a
One,
long shot.
one fight I will bring up, which
Yeah.
I think will be a fun fight to watch, and just somebody who I think is an up and coming guy. At a buck 45, he might be fighting at 35 here, but Mario Bautista, Benito Lopez. Mario Bautista is a tough dude. He dropped Corey Sandhagen when they fought, had him in some really deep water, and then Sandhagen locked up a submission.
Yeah.
He has a bad knockout loss on his record to Trevin Jones, but Trevin Jones was sleeping people at 145, so I wouldn't look too much into that. Just a guy who has the whole package: wrestling, striking, good camp, young, hungry guy. Mario Batista -315 against Benito Lopez, who we haven't seen fight in 2 years. I'm not sure why his layoff was so long. He's a Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series guy who I just never understood kind of the hype. So I like Mario Batista a lot at -315. I know it's a kind of a lofty price tag, but I could get behind it.
Yeah, I like that. Coming out of the MMA lab, he is fighting down at 135.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So
I agree. Tough dude. I think full package. 3 knockouts, 4 submissions, 3 decisions in his win column. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be looked at there.
yeah, no, I think he could potentially have a pretty promising UFC career. I mean, there's really not too much. There's Jake Hadley. A lot of people had hype with him. I don't know too much about Candelario, his opponent. He's only a 265 favorite. Ludovic Shalenian, he was on Ultimate Fighter. Nothing special. Johnny Munoz Jr. I think we tackled this card more than enough. So
Well, I get to keep a proud tradition of mine going, which is rooting against people based on the stupidity of their fucking nicknames.
okay.
So I will be actively cheering against Miranda Fear the Maverick this
Oh
weekend.
yes, she's on this card. She's somebody who potential.
Sure.
There's
Yeah.
potential there.
I think it's the dumbest fucking nickname out there. So I will be rooting against her.
Oh, but
That she takes on Kana Young.
Yeah, she's fighting a glorified Applebee's waitress here. No offense to Shayna Young, but how could you
So
not?
you're not talking bad about the Shanimal, are you?
The Shanimal, I mean, Miranda Maverick -700.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
The Shanimal was 1 and 2 in the UFC.
Yeah, it's one of those fights where it's just like, let's try and get Miranda Maverick back on track.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. After
It's a
she's
setup
1
fight.
and 2 in her last couple fights.
Somewhat decent competition, and
Yeah,
then just a massive drop off. That's why she has such a high price tag. But there is some hype behind her. I think she's like 23, 24. She's pretty young.
yeah,
So
yeah. Shayna Young is, and it's never a good sign when you're looking at somebody's Sharedog profile for UFC Fight Night and they have a loss in the Dana White Contender Series.
yeah, it's never great.
That's never good.
Who was her loss to?
And the Contender Series was Sarah Alpar.
Oh God, what a fucking terrible loss too.
Yeah,
She's
and
no
a
longer
submission loss from the second.
Sarah Alpar is the girl who posted a GoFundMe page to fund her UFC career, and Jake Paul got behind and was like retweeting her stuff, and then she ended up getting, after the UFC got word that Jake Paul was helping this woman, they lined her up with like an absolute murderer and then just ended her UFC career.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the story of Sarah Alpar in short order.
Yeah, she got pieced up by Jessica Rose Clark and then lost the decision to Erin Blanchfield, rather.
And Erin Blanchfield's the fucking truth, by the way. That woman is an absolute killer. Killer.
But who knows? Maybe the Applebee's waitress brings out the heat, brings out the big guns. Coming off of a win over Gina Mazzani, a TKO win over Gina Mazzani earlier this year. After taking 2 losses to Macy Chazon and Stephanie Egger.
not terrible losses.
No, not terrible losses, but losses all the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
the win is not impressive. No offense, Gina Mazzani, she's got to be out of the UFC as well. But hey, we'll see. Miranda Maverick should get the job done, right? The writing's on the wall with this one. Honestly, it's probably a lock at -700 too. That's like one of those just like free squares in bingo.
Yeah. Add it into a parlay if you need to round it out.
Yep.
Well, I don't know what's going on in the MMA world. Sugar Sean and Bryce Mitchell got a little beef, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Mitchell was calling out Sean O'Malley's Dana White privilege a little bit, and O'Malley obviously went to Instagram Live and called him an inbred, and now they have a little bit of a spat going on.
What do you think about that one? How do you feel about that one?
I think it's a shitty matchup for O'Malley.
Yeah.
I don't like that fight. There's very little reward in fighting a guy in Bryce Mitchell right now. Maybe down the road, right? Once O'Malley gets that strap around his waist, then maybe we could start talking about this. But no, that's not a fight the UFC is absolutely clamoring to make right now.
Well, isn't that exactly the way the UFC would want it too? For Sugar Sean to get the gold strap around his waist and then to build up this big fucking beef between him and Bryce Mitchell.
Bingo, yeah, that'd be great.
All the flat earthers are going to come out rabid for Bryce Mitchell. They'll give him his camo UFC shorts. He'll go in there and I think probably ragdoll Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, no, he's no joke, Mitchell. In the grappling department, he is real deal grappler. He's not a guy you want to be on the ground with.
And sleeper hands too, right? Like hands that you might not expect.
He dropped Barboza in his last fight. He dropped one of like the most lethal kickboxers in the UFC. So
yeah, I mean, if you drop Edson Barboza, you got something in your hands.
Yeah, dude, he's definitely not to be slept on, even though people I think are sleeping on him a little bit. He's the real deal once those cage doors lock up.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, and again, another too early prediction. I think Bryce Mitchell fucking ragdoll Sugar Sean.
But they just scheduled him, like we talked about in the last pod, against Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, which could derail Bryce Mitchell, right?
Which it could derail Ilia Topuria too. That's a huge fight. That's a huge fight at 145 pounds.
No, I agree. That's a good fight. That's a fun fight, and
I didn't even know this existed. Could you imagine Topuria O'Malley? Oof. Just absolute violence.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I think, look, if there's an absolutely odds-on favorite chance that you're right, that Sugar Sean ends up with a gold strap around his waist, but the amount of sharks in the water that they are just chumming up right now, I don't think he's going to hold that strap very long. So if you like pink cornrows and playing Twitch video games and smoking weed, you better enjoy the Sugar Show while you can, because I got a feeling it's going to be in syndication real fucking quick. Somebody's going to take that strap off of him. Did you see I don't know if you know the guy. There's a Barstool guy who has the long red hair, always wears the shirt and tie, and does those kind of like goofy interviews.
Yeah, I don't know Caleb Presley.
Is that who that is? He did one with Sean O'Malley.
Okay.
Where he asked him. He said it was America versus Russia, or no, Ireland versus Russia. Sugar Sean O'Malley and Conor McGregor versus Khabib and Hasbulla. Did you see that?
I did see that clip. Yes.
Actually, kind of funny. Like
I think he's funny. I think he's funny.
It was pretty funny. That's about the last good thing I'm gonna say about Sean O'Malley, though. I don't have anything else.
Yeah. He did say that he would rather fight Chito Vera than Henry Cejudo.
Okay. Okay.
Cheeto's definitely more deserving, I think, of a shot than Henry Cejudo is right now. But is it an easier matchup for O'Malley? I don't know.
I don't. I think history tells us it sure as shit isn't.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you want to feel that again, Sean.
yeah, I
But
know.
okay. Careful what you wish for, I guess. Yeah, you just might get that chance. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. It's been knock on wood. It's been a relatively quiet week in the MMA universe.
Mm-hmm.
No, nobody's been arrested. Nobody's gotten themselves canceled on a social media platform. It's been maybe we can just coast into next week so we can do our big 281 preview and give it the attention it deserves. Maybe nothing crazy pops off. For the 10-8 fans, we got a guest lined up soon, I think, who's going to come on, and I think that's going to be an exciting one. So keep your eyes peeled for a special guest episode. We haven't done one of those in a while, so we're going to have to get back in fighting shape for that. Get our cardio up. We're gonna have to throw on the trash bags and get a run in, I think.
Oh yeah.
And we started planning today. We've started planning the 10-8 Christmas spectacular. And for the fans that don't know this, I'm a Christmas guy. And let me tell you how big of a Christmas guy I am. Mariah Carey went in the headphones on November 1st.
Jesus.
Already got her on. Already got her on.
Slow your roll, guy.
Ain't going to apologize. Ain't going to. Don't ask a tiger to change his stripes. You know what I'm saying? That's how I do it. I get down with Christmas heavy. So we are going to be pulling out every stop for the Christmas spectacular. That episode is going to be game changing. And if you haven't yet, ask yourself why you don't follow us on TikTok. Ask yourself why you're not resharing the 10-8 pod. Ask yourself that at home. Are you smashing like and subscribe? Are you resharing it to the homies? If not, you're not a good friend to your friends because they should know about the 10-8 pod because we change lives. That's what we do.
Ask yourself
why you're not a better friend.
Say less.
John Boy, you got anything else for this week?
I don't think so. I think we have a big ass card in UFC 281 on the horizon. Adesanya Pereira, the triple rematch in the making. Absolutely stacked card from top to bottom in Madison Square Garden. So definitely tune in for that one next week. And we did what we could. We did what we could with the tools provided for us this week. And I'll let you take it away.
Listen, I could say more, but what more could I say? So with that, call your mother, tell her you love her, because we out.
Peace.